that kind of production that will kickstart you into weekend celebrations. Now, I must say it is Good Morning Uganda Friday special edition. Away from the studios, we're doing a production somewhere, a place that you're going to fall in love with, and also knowing that it's just next to your own domicile. Now, my name is Felix Nkunda. Again, we're going to be playing for you a couple of songs. Some of those songs are basically R&B songs that made it easy, that made life good for you in the late 1990s and of course early 2000s. Now, of course, you'll hear musicians like Joe, NSYNC, Boys to Men, a couple of those. Most of you may relate with the millennials, but not, of course, the people who from the 80s. Nevertheless, me, Priscilla, Robert, will be back here to take you through the drills of our weekend production. We'll be having a guest artist, of course, someone who will be nice on the guitars, on those strings. So we hope that you don't fly away with the music anyway. But let's have this music interlude. Later on, me and Robert and Priscilla, of course, will be opening up the show, and of course, expect much, much, much more. Good Morning Uganda. Keep yourself hooked on your TV.
Good morning to you, Uganda. It's a wonderful, bright Friday morning, and I'm trying to open the windows to my new house for the weekend. It's definitely a cool place. We are at Forever Echo, and it's a nice resort hidden away. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga, and we are in the middle of nowhere. You will never know where we are unless we tell you where we are, simply because there's fish, there's water. Then, as you can see, our new home for the weekend is right in the middle of water. So we're not sure if it's a lake or it's a pond. Well, we're going to be keeping you guessing and guessing this Friday, special Friday on Good Morning Uganda, and I am joined by the perfect gentleman. Good morning to you, Robert.
Good morning, Priscilla.
I will say you are excellently dressed and smart, like drop dead gorgeous.
Oh, thank you so much. You know, when you're going to meet nature,
Oh yeah.
you also dress to scare nature.
That's a good one. Well, speaking of scaring, the week did start off with a lot of scare. The pressure for the speakership race and deputy speakership race did give all of Uganda a scare. And everyone was glued on their screens and they're wondering who is actually going to take it on. But then comes Friday, where we celebrate the wins for the entire single week. And celebrating these wins with me this morning is Felix Nkunda. Good morning, Felix.
Morning, how are you?
Very good. How are you?
Awesome.
How does it feel to be in air freshener?
It's possible.
Yeah.
Yes. It's unique. It's if you've looked at the Maldives, I don't know if you've got a chance to look at. Actually, it's one of the most beautiful places in the world, the Maldives Islands. Now, there's a concept here for the Maldives that you walk into your room. Yeah, it's on top of the water. You can see it looks like a man-made lake, and of course, as Priscilla said, you can fish as you sleep. If you remember watching those cartoons,
Yeah.
yes.
Oh yes. Yeah. It was Mickey Mouse. Don't even get me started.
Scooby-Doo, John Bravo.
Yes, John Bravo. Did you ever watch John Bravo?
I wasn't so much into. But of course, there are some kid programs that I also use.
There was generation they used to do MacGyver, Inspector Derrick.
Oh, that's generation.
Riviera.
Yes.
Sunset Beach.
Sunset.
Are you serious?
Yes.
But anyway,
I thought you had reduced your age by the national ID.
no,
Okay.
but awesomely, this place is really beautiful. I must say, this place is unique. It's very unique, hidden away, and the beauties of nature are hidden in with it. When you listen to the birds singing, you can see a feel of the waters. You look at the trees, you see the sunset, the sunrise.
And the things you're mentioning are exactly what Molen has been teaching us about ever since she joined Good Morning Uganda. Nature, climate, and how all come together to actually make a whole. Now that is very interesting. And we do have Molen Kenyana with us this morning on Special Friday. She will be joining us later on to interpret each and every natural resource that you are seeing right here. But Felix Nkunda has given away one clue already. That's a fish pond, and they do fish sporting here. You can come here and just do a swim and you get out a fish, and then you pan fry for yourself in your room, and your lunch, your meals are sorted. Fish for breakfast, fish for lunch, fish liver. Have you ever eaten fish liver? Is there a fish liver?
Not at all.
Does the fish?
Not at all.
The reptiles have liver.
Not.
Do you remember your biology?
But how do they deal with their food?
That is something.
That's a good
But
one.
one thing I know.
Interesting thing about this place, Priscilla and Felix, is that always government has had a challenge with people using wetlands or places that are how they use nature. Here you find an element of coexistence.
Yes.
How? Because much as man would want to use this place, they're ensuring that they conserve whatever is there. And that is why you're seeing even the structures, majority of them are temporary structures that do not in any way infringe on the various species of birds or fish that would be here. So that is one thing that we've always been telling Ugandans. You do not have to entirely do away, but human beings
embrace nature.
And you Sheila, I and Felix are going to enjoy our weekend here.
How are fish enjoying?
Because someone would have just put maram here, then built a structure, and that ecosystem is destroyed. But this is a place where they've factored in that, and I think it's something that comes to my mind. why don't many Ugandans have such ideas rather than totally doing away with what is very important?
That is why Forever Eco Resort is here. That while other Ugandans are waking up, Forever Eco Resort already woke up and they actually created a home within home of nature and environment. And they did that in the heart of the city, in Kajansi. Shocking. We are in Kajansi. We are not in Kabale. We are not in Kapchora. No.
Bunyonyi,
we are not in Bunyonyi. I know, right?
You know.
We're not in Jinja. We are in Kajansi, Wakiso district. So thank you so much for Forever Eco Resort for coming up with this concept.
Speaking about Kajansi, something quite interesting. If you've ever interested yourself in why places are named the way they are named. For example, look at the places where you come from. Kirabo, Seguku, Katale. You go to places like Kabojja, Kabowa, Abaita Ababiri. But Abaita Ababiri is a Uganda, Lugero. You know, maybe Uruguayo? Bejukanya. But and it's like if for example if you move with someone, you keep on saying Hawaii twagende jindu jukira twaraba. No, if you went alone, you keep on saying
kakati what happens to Abaita Abasatu?
Awema nkula wema. You go to places like even Kampala. You know the story of how it came Kampala?
Impala, the Impala animals, yes. This used to be their habitation, actually. And if we had known about ecosysteming then, we would still be having the Impala animals within the city, you know, flying and jumping around.
Imagine, honestly. Should have reserved a space for them.
It also begs, you know, when you come to such environments, they're very hard to discover. I mean, if the way you get to this place is actually very hard. It's not your usual fancy tarmac road. It's a hidden environment.
And that's what it should be.
Yeah. Then we have people like Kamoga Steven who will go to their phones in Uganda and put in Google Maps, you know, do a pin, and that pin should direct them to Forever Eco Resort.
Right? I know, man. Imagine, but
what has been your experience with GPS?
They tell you in 100 meters you're going to turn left. Turn back in the spot where I was.
Where I drive and I follow them.
Though it works also some other times it works
well. It depends on the places. If they're well,
it works in urban places. It is very accurate in urban places.
Yeah,
but
where the streets are well named.
Remote and rural places. GPS in Uganda, in other places, but in Uganda it's very hard.
Also gets
because
confused.
I also had that very same experience. I was going to another resort in Gayaza and I dropped the pin. Oh my goodness. I went around until I said, you know, let me go back to the state. Dear foreigner in Uganda, the best way to get around our country is ask. Put the window down of your car and ask.
And now the problem. And
when you come to me that way, hello.
Those things are also ancient. If they have greeted you or not greeted, what do you lose?
First,
the only problem
then ask where
is
you're
how.
going.
The only problem, what is the use? Don't
just. Otherwise,
just help a brother.
Tell our foreigners to be polite so they can.
What difference does it make?
I know about colleague who asked that man and they told, "Oh, you've passed. Take the other route."
But the only problem is that when the Ugandans are also directing you, it also becomes funny. It's also a problem. Kakati kila wali mama namu ote wachiyimba ande wo mugenzi dungu. Now the person is asking place. How do you know? They know that there is person wo mugenzi wano.
But I think Felix, yes, that was more so cool than.
Trust you me.
At least
when you have not been to a place, it will give you a hard time to arrive at your destination.
And mostly the way we build our houses in this country and the suburbs of the city, people build in very, very unorganized ways that you will find that the way to this house, you have to go through almost like the way is
you
within,
have to actually first
go
through
the veranda of another person's car. It's just like how these taxi guys drive. The guy is going here, and because there's jam here, he will take a panya. that will take you another like 20 kilometers to come to just a 1 kilometer away spot.
Yeah.
And by the time he comes back here,
Yes.
a million cars have passed.
Yeah.
Even
So
when,
yeah, our mental GPSs, especially as drivers on the road,
Yeah.
are also very hard.
I think they're not trained to work with vectors, if I
Yeah.
remember very well. And I think that's something they should incorporate into motor car driving. How
Automated
exactly
GPSs.
Yes, something
Okay.
like that. Yeah.
All right. No, actually, those are there. It's just that again, it still feeds onto the Ugandan GPS.
Definitely.
That's the challenge. That you will still go around because it. But anyway, it's a developing technology. We are not
Definitely.
where we were 5 years ago, at least, and it's getting better and better. And it's one of the ways that you can actually find places as beautiful as Forever Eco Resort. Now, speaking of Forever Eco Resort, today on Good Morning Uganda, special Friday, we're going to be having a conversation. I think one of the other second biggest conversations this week has been COVID-19 and how we might be experiencing a second wave yet again. And we're going to be discussing that on our newsreel. Of course, we must look at the papers. Even if we are in the middle of nowhere, we are going to look at the papers. We will be having Ruben Pima Chivirango. He is he has gone fishing. I have no idea where he is.
He's enjoying fresh
They
air.
don't fish his legs.
Trying to enjoy fresh air because one of the things we lack
but
is
we
that,
didn't
and
bring a
here we
floater
are.
for him. That's the challenge. And
But this, I even doubt
many
that,
ponds.
I even doubt that there is where he comes. Of the speaker and the deputy speaker, but also, like Priscilla said, we had continuous alerts from the Ministry of Health regarding COVID-19, and that we'll discuss. But before we go into that, also we'll be looking at some of the stories that happened in the last few hours, beginning with the signing of an agreement between the government of Uganda and that is the Democratic Republic of Congo, where we are going to see infrastructure being boosted in our country. And this was Uganda and Democratic Republic of Congo signed a major agreement that will see the two countries foster and improve border trade and development and stabilize Eastern Congo that is worth pockets of instability happening there. The signing ceremony follows up to the meeting that was held between President Yoweri Museveni and President Felix Tshisekedi that recently took place at State House in Entebbe. President Yoweri Museveni signed the intergovernmental agreement on behalf of Uganda, while the Democratic Republic of Congo, Lutundala, signed on behalf of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who is also the Foreign Affairs Minister. It was witnessed by the new Speaker of Parliament, Honorable Jacob Olanya.
In other news, we had 169 officers of the Special Forces Command, which is also known as SFC, having been decorated in a piping ceremony held at SFC headquarters in Entebbe. The decorated officers are part of the 1,236 Uganda People's Defense Forces, officers who were recently promoted to various ranks by the President and the Commander-in-Chief of the Uganda Armed Forces, President Yoweri Museveni. The piping ceremony was presided over by the Commander, SFC Lieutenant General Muhoozi Kainerugaba, who also doubles as the Senior Presidential Advisor on Special Operations. He advised the officers to work and respect the chain of command as well as their superiors. He also urged the officers to work for the welfare and the good health of the men in uniform. General Kainerugaba commended the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces, President, close attention to all matters pertaining to the military, including logistics and personnel. He thanked God for opportunities. 10 colonels, 13 lieutenant colonels, 18 majors, 62 lieutenants, 61 second lieutenants, including 3 professionals, are the ones that were decorated.
As we earlier told you, COVID-19 second wave is here with us, and all we can do is abide by the standard operating procedures. Well, on the contrary, one of our reporters toured downtown where he found a situation very embarrassing, as many Ugandans of the business community long ago abandoned the soaps. He observed that many traders believe that COVID-19 is no longer that dangerous of death as they had thought before. But why has this all happened? They attribute this to lack of enforcement, but also people are more deadly than ever before. Ministry of Health says Uganda must remain vigilant as the country goes through a second season of COVID-19 wave, or else we shall perish.
Downtown Kampala is one of the most non-compliant areas to the COVID-19 standard operating procedures, according to Ministry of Health analyst reports. Although government has initially given a lee window to business outlets like shopping malls and arcades to resume operations after months of total shutdown with stringent do's and don'ts, but a glance to beehive activities and frisking of people indicates no adherence to what government had perceived to be safeguards for the human life. In July 2020, government relaxed the COVID-19 standard operating procedures to down the road. The story is worrying as many city dwellers seem not bothered to use their protective gears in the fight against the dread COVID-19 pandemic.
Still on COVID-19, Ministry of Health says Ugandans must remain vigilant as the country goes through a second invasion of COVID-19 wave. The new strain is such more aggressive than the first variant. Vaccines have been withdrawn in districts with poor vaccine levels to help vaccinate people in densely populated areas before they expire. The new variant of COVID-19 in Uganda has amplified the Ministry of Health state statistics. By press time, Uganda had a cumulative number of cases amounting to 44,594. Active cases are 194,433. Recoveries from health facilities and homes stand at 361 people who have also perished. The harshness of the condition of the second wave is higher compared to the first wave. The second wave has taken 10 days to shoot the highest level compared to the first variant that took 3 to 4 months, according to Ministry of Health. The rise of COVID-19 is attributed to compliance in adhering to standard operating procedures. Supermarkets and banks are reportedly trying to enforce the guidelines, but people are not responding so much as they should. Kampala, Wakiso, Gulu, Amur, Moroto, Arua, Mbale, and Oyem district, among others. Meanwhile, officials from the national medical stores are withdrawing vaccines from districts that have not fully utilized them to give them to areas that are densely populated where utilization has also been high.
Well, we now get to turn our heads and find out on this Friday morning what is actually making headlines on the international scene, courtesy of Felix.
Of course, we do go to international stories where we'll be looking at the investigations of the US into the source of the coronavirus. Now, they said Biden had made an order that an investigation be carried out to find out whether this actually came out as a result of a lab technique that went bad, or actually from Wuhan, as allegations were made. Now, the US President Joe Biden has said that he expects to release the results of an intelligence report on the origin of the virus. But however, China's foreign ministry accused the US of political manipulation and blame shifting. Of course, it has rejected any links between COVID-19 and the virus research city in Wuhan, and they come out to say that COVID-19 was first detected in Wuhan late 2019. Since then, more than at least 168 million cases have been confirmed worldwide, and about 3.5 million deaths have been reported. Now, of course, we'll cross over to Israel and Palestine, while we're looking at the UN human rights body did come out to order a probe into the systematic abuses of human rights there in Israel and Palestine. Now, the Human Rights Committee Council there decided Thursday to create an open national investigation into violations surrounding the latest Gaza violence and into the systematic abuses of the Palestinian terrorists and inside Israel as well. Now, the resolution, which passed at least 24 of the council's 47 members in favor, will spur an unprecedented level of scrutiny on abuses and their root causes in the most recent concluded ceasefire Gaza area. Now, still international stories, we'll cross over to Africa, where we'll be looking at Mali, where we see the coup leader Amin Goïta declares himself president. Now, he made the announcement after stripping interim president, that is Badwa, and also Prime Minister Mokhtar Oune of their power, and the two ousted leaders were freed from military detention, where they had been held since Monday in what was seen as Mali's second coup in 9 months. Now, the seizure of power came after the cabinet reshuffle, which Kano Goïta complained as he was not consulted, and the same reshuffle would cause mayhem and not in the interest of the nationals.
Everyone is greedy for power in Mali, and that's the root cause of their problems.
Yeah. Well, of course, everyone comes out to say everything they're doing is in the best interest of the country. So,
what do you expect them to say, Felix? I mean, they're fighting for the biggest offices in the land, so yeah, they must.
But then, when we look at things away from taking coups, internationally, any government that comes into power through a coup and not democratically finds problems being recognized.
There's a constitutional provision that legitimizes an illegitimate government. The NRM, for that matter, came in as an illegitimate government, but constitutionally there's a provision that legitimizes them as long as the latter is proved that it is for the good and better of the people or the citizenry. For example, the Muammar Gaddafis came into, you look at the likes of even Bob, the late from Zimbabwe, they all came through this kind of coups. You go to even Zambia, even Lesotho, even Cote d'Ivoire. But there's a provision, as long as you can sustainably get power, use the interim time to prepare legitimate elections. That's why the first thing they all have to do is to legitimize your takeover through an election. That would depict a democracy.
That's why we see the likes of Emerson Mnangagwa.
The first thing you do in transition is to prepare an election. Now, the election will legitimize the process of your coming in. So that's why he's saying that he's also going to, actually say 18 months, they will have an election.
Well, for the good of the citizens of Uganda, Good Morning Uganda always does a special Friday in outdoor places so that we can remind you that nature is just next doors. It's not so far away, but next doors. In the heart of Kajansi is where you find Forever Eco Resort, which is our home this morning. Now, allow us to take more tours of this wonderful space as we return for Good Morning Uganda. Now, the interesting thing to note, and Molen will explain to me why the sun is up and why we also do have the moon still up, and it's a full moon. So the sun and the moon are both in the skies this morning at Forever Eco Resort. And then you're also having cloud set here that has different No, how do you move from pink to grey?
Let's go with pink. We'll go with pink before we know we are going to have an orange cloud.
And what type of clouds are those?
Nimbus clouds.
So rain is coming.
No, the water is here, so rain cannot come any closer.
Anyway, we'll have our song for the day, but when we come back, we'll be picking up from there. Kirabo will tell us you said orange, purple.
He called it grey. He called pink grey.
Kirabo, we are going to take you on a tour for colors, and you and Priscilla, actually, the two of you. Priscilla says they are pink.
That is why we came with Felix.
You didn't tell us the
we'll
color.
explain these things.
Yeah.
Let's take a break, have our song for the day, but when we come back, we will take you through our newsreel. Good morning.
This is Good Morning Uganda. the day on UBC. Brought to you by...
Their job is to keep you and me healthy and well. But sometimes they try in vain.
Was brought to you by...
We've cut and reduced our MTN Momo withdrawal rates. Now you can withdraw mobile money at the lowest rates. You also get MTN Essential Points when you deposit, send and withdraw MTN mobile money. Visit our Momo agents countrywide and withdraw mobile money at our reduced rates from 1st May 2021. Everywhere you go. MTN.
COVID-19 Tijakugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
It's Freaky Friday from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and
Or hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we learn, because it's those things that bring us close together.
The Teacher Management Information System, TMIS, is one of the innovations the Ministry of Education and Sports has rolled out to have all teachers register online. This is in line with the spirit of the National Teacher Policy to professionalize the teaching profession and the Ministry's effort to collate teacher data in a single database for better teacher management. Join us as we host officials of the Ministry.
Well, good morning once again, and thank you so much for keeping it on UBC TV. It is a Friday, and every Friday we make sure to usher you into the weekend in style. This time round, it is all about nature, and we are at Forever Eco Resort. This is just in Nachigarala, off Entebbe Road, just in Kajansi. So this is the place where we are this morning, and it's nature at its best. Just behind us, we have how man ensured that they coexist. This is a pond, and don't know, we're on top of a pond. The fish are doing all that they need to do just beneath us. And of course, this is where we are, I, Priscilla, and Felix. So in case you're wondering, where are these people? Yes, we are in Uganda. We are at a place called Forever Eco Resort.
Number 2.
And it is not very far from the heart of the city.
Number 3.
Number 3, it is very lovely. If you want to run away from the noise, sound pollution, you want to run away from so much of these funny cars, you are looking for fresh air, this is the place to be. You want to write a book, for us that really have that, I want to write a book regarding something, and you need that very quiet.
You are wanting to write a book?
If you want to write a book, you need that.
What book do you want to write about?
Once it gets on shelf, I'm going to launch it. So you've
already started writing?
I'm in the process.
Of writing or thinking
why
about
are you
writing?
talking about launching before you still
because I'm sure it's going to happen.
Those two things.
But the end justifies
because
the
I'm sure it's going to happen.
Not in this case. But Robert, when you're giving us the introduction of where we are, you did talk about Nachigara, is it?
Nachigarala.
Nachigarala.
Yes.
It did remind me of how the president was arguing about the pronunciation of names. I don't know why he likes that thing. And then he says, someone says, oh, Museveni.
Yeah, actually, I think one of his last international interviews that he did with Aman Poa, she actually called him Museveni. And even me, I was in shock. I was like, Aman Poa, you are a legendary journalist. Names should be very, very important. So I know where it's
But also, I
from.
think there is a fact of how there are some names that some people, a Nigerian, for example, could find hard. Even you have some tribes in Uganda where mentioning certain names or certain letter R, then L, it is complicated.
But that's understandable. But it's very sort of like peculiar or primitive. Kampala. You know, and more worse when you're Ugandan, for that matter. Nachimbu. I have a couple of friends who like to do it that way. Like, and one of the most celebrated lawyers, by the way, not most, but a celebrated lawyer in town, also a politician. I remember the time we were in court, and he pronounces his name like, Your Honor, it's me, Lou Bega.
Lou Bega.
Lou Bega, my dad. My dad. I'm like, okay.
So then that would be another person.
I know.
Not you. It's just like sometimes I go to church.
It's English in English.
Sometimes I go to church and the way people pronounce God. Like,
so what?
God. God.
But he knows he has said it before. Last Friday he said it when he was priding in knowing.
So I just feel I think really let's have
Friday, we met him. You remember he said God.
But that's, I just feel a bit of
offended. What offends you?
Anyway, let me tell you a true story.
God is Chigomba, Izimana, is Katonda, Isodene, Namugereka. If somebody calls God God, what the hell? He doesn't. It's not like he will say his grace will be reduced. His people will be. Come on.
Let me tell you a true story.
There are things that won't even trouble
before we go away from it. So this, guy was trying to,
I don't know.
Vibe me, actually, yes. So he was really yeah. So
it was another vibe
altogether. He was from, the western side of Uganda, and he was saying my name in such a way that man just
turned you off.
Turned me off. Like, even if you're the richest man in Uganda, no. Priscilla. And I try to imagine someone called me Priscilla all the rest of my life. No. I have to correct you. If I don't correct you, we're going to fight about it. If we don't fight about it, I'll be pissed about it. If not, you're going to have to find an alternative name to call me.
But Priscilla, like, honestly, I think, what's wrong with that? It's just a name. I've told you, remember, like, serious, I'm just saying that like, for real. it is understandable. I remember when I was studying communication skills, they told us about dialects. Now, every tribe has, like when you meet a Nigerian, the way they pronounce Robert. Hey, Robert. You meet like Felix, Priscilla.
And I didn't take away
But
from
there's
his dialects. I appreciated it, but I
let
just
him go with his dialects.
But there's also what you can tolerate because you know. But then there's these people that come up and try to pronounce people's names, places, in a way thinking they are more Western, they are more advanced, they are more exposed. And for example, a person who has lived in Kampala, studied in Kampala, how do you then Kampala?
What's that?
Makes me wonder. You talk of Kampala, I am Okash, so you just get to wonder. No, this is intentionally thinking you're being modern, yet actually you're being.
Kirabo, in Kampala, we have a lot of cases for COVID-19 this week. They registered over 1,000 cases in just Kampala. And we have different districts. We actually have hotspot districts right now. Now, as the sun is coming up, we're also coming up with this conversation yet again. Ugandans, second wave is here, and we must do something about it. It's upon you, it's upon me to do something about it. But while we do something about it, there's so many sectors that are worried they're going to be heavily affected, because even in the beginning, when they were reopened, they didn't really pay so much attention to these sectors. They simply opened them up for business, but then after that, they were left to, you know, stagger and find their way around COVID-19 and the SOPs that were given for them. One of those sectors is education.
Is education, where actually, according to Ministry of Health, already 803 students have tested positive of COVID-19. But what is very annoying is that actually these figures could even be more than that. But what happens is school owners, proprietors do not disclose when they suspect COVID-19 cases, because they fear that should they report to the Ministry of Health that actually I think we have cases here of COVID-19, then they could face temporary closure. And this, of course, is something that means a lot to their businesses. Who would want to take a child to a school where they have confirmed and they know that there are cases of COVID-19? So that is what they are fearing. But statistics show 803, including universities. One of the universities, Gulu University, that has also had a couple of cases there. So this is what we want to look at. Previously, or right from the onset, when the president came out to address the nation, those that remember during COVID-19, one of the first steps he took was to ensure that all learning institutions are closed. That were estimated about 15 million by then. So he said, let's first close them, let them go back home, because COVID-19, where there are so many numbers, it's easy for people to contract. That's why you look at, they limit gatherings. At least have 200. We began with, was it 7?
It was 30, then
30,
70,
then to 200. So you need fewer people in a place that they can social distance. You can easily manage them. And the education sector is one area that is very, very tricky, because when you're dealing with students, sometimes you're dealing with young adults, that even the setup also becomes a problem. It becomes a very big problem. And also, please stay home for some time, because we need to create space to ensure that standard operating procedures are being observed. So this is the dilemma here, Felix.
Yeah, it's quite sad. It's quite unfortunate, again, if I may add. But the most interesting thing is that, you see, we have a lapse in how information is treated in this country, and I've been consistent in what I've been saying about that. You see, the biggest dilemma we're facing today is we do not have the right information for disposal to our people, yet the most relevant information is out there for everyone. And if I may take this in terms of COVID-19 or the pandemic, assisted greatly in terms of sensitization. Not that they have done nothing, but they should have done. Like it's something, if we do not act to stop, it will eat up everything. Like, we just have to pull out one bit in every puzzle, like to avoid connections. Now, how do you do that? When you look at when they opened up initially for downtown and the arcades, there were standard operating procedures. COVID never left Uganda, but the SOPs left Uganda. And it was supposed to be okay, for that matter. When you look at the places that are most infected, and that is Kampala and Greater Wakiso, it is evident that it was expected, because people have since then stopped doing the right things. And guess what? Under the nose of government, you talk about places that are most exposed, like they have a lot of exposure. One, look at schools. Exposure comes with the levels of interactions. You have, let's say, about 2,000 guys back all in school, and it's supposed to be okay. There's no testing, there's no what. If you've visited some of the schools in around town and all that, that's one. Secondly, go to places that will carry out a lot of interaction in terms of economy. Let's look at transport. When did they last ever enforce these things of 2 people in a seat of a taxi and all this? Go to markets. The president had given guidance. Now, the last nail on the coffin, the expectation was that when we have vaccines, if you remember, the president was keen, when we have the vaccine, we shall think of reopening the entire country. When the vaccine came, the people started bringing speculation, and I have said this time and again, we have a lot of opinions that fly in this country, and primitive, illiterate, and uncurative opinions. Not that I despise any kind of profession, but I would want to have a medical opinion in terms of vaccination, not a border rider opinion, not a Ludo player,
politician.
You know, a journalist, I can stand it because maybe it is investigated or they have had an
interaction,
interview,
yes.
you know, but not a pandemic vaccination. Now, and Parliament simply said vaccination is here. We did not do the drives of. We must also appreciate the kind of population we have in a country like Uganda. The father of the same is quite informal. It means that the father of the same again is definitely primitive, and that would mean that they may not be in connection with the domain of relevant knowledge in terms of some of these scientific things. But if government doesn't have or put in place an effort to also leverage. By the way, many people did not go for vaccination because they don't know.
Actually,
like yesterday I was having an interaction with some people, telling them, guys, by the way, you should go. Tell them, neighbor, give me that wa. Now, government is talking about recalling all the vaccinations from up country back to centralized in Kampala and Wachiso. But people there did not even know that the vaccinations were there.
Actually, statistics show that about of the vaccines that we got have been used. That is why, and they are going to be expiring, and they are going to be expiring if not used come 10th of July. The current vaccine that we have will have expired. So that is why they have taken that. Let's bring them to Kampala with hope that these are areas that are very prone to COVID-19 infections, but also response has been a bit high. I think this explains what Felix has been talking about, that maybe people in Kampala easily get access to information and
information flows fast because of the various mediums of communication. The social media, TV is quite active. You see people watch at least 3 bulletins in a day, but people in the village, they only await. Some people don't have radio, don't have TV, and that's why there's no hearsay in villages.
Have to take on the responsibility.
But that is if also he's informed. That's why now I bring in the blame to government, that we did not carry out the most expected drives in terms of immunization, or rather vaccination. And I think that's why I will fault them, because if COVID will not be a scare anymore, we shall have more sectors opened. At least let's imagine if a population of 45 million or 46, you have at least 10 million vaccinated. There's no way you don't open up the entire economy.
Priscilla, let's take a look at enforcement. Recently, ministry has come out to be very clear that any teacher who will not be vaccinated will not be allowed to teach, because the vaccines are available, so teachers should go and get vaccinated. Let's look at previously, we're even walking downtown. If someone didn't have a mask, KCCA, health officials would stop you. Let's look at some of these areas where we knew it was tough, that bars were totally out. Today we are seeing where some are working, others are not working, others are opened. So let's take us through this enforcement. Has there been people relaxing? Are we getting used to the situation? What's happening with enforcement?
All right. Well, yesterday we had a joint bulletin that was dubbed "Act or Perish," and different media houses came together to just re-echo the message that has been re-echoed, most especially towards last year. We had so much information that was constantly being echoed in the ears and the eyes of Ugandans in terms of SOPs should be doing to manage COVID-19. Now, you guys will be the gauge of this. Last year, every single radio station, at least every 15 minutes, there's a message about COVID-19. Is that also relaxed on continuously reminding citizens of Uganda to actually adhere to the SOPs. So you also have an incident whereby, you can only have media houses do so much, but they take that effort from the ministries and the task forces responsible. Last year we still had Act and Perish, and it sort of really drove the message far and wide, but it could Yes.
Continuous.
Let's talk about the mask distribution. In the education sector, you would be expecting that the responsible ministry to ensure that at all times the person you want to tell to have a mask on, should you have actually provided the mask that they should be having on. That's a commitment that the president took on and gave a directive to provide Ugandans with masks. How often has that happened? It only happened once, and it only happened in hotspots, regions, and that's the last we saw of it.
And when it comes to institutions, education institutions, it is now upon the parents, the guardians, that, well, you ensure your child has a mask.
Okay, let's talk about Ministry of Education. So many school proprietors, owners, did cry out to the ministry, and they're saying, we need help. Because even us, we're stranded. Now imagine, just even with the new system, you have S2s coming in for second term, where you have senior 4s going out. You have one class coming in, one class going out. That means that this person is going to spend continuously throughout this year. They're not going to have a break. At whose expense is that?
Parents.
Is there any help that you've had coming in from the Ministry of Education and Sports to respond to that plight?
Even the stimulus package that was given to proprietors of owners of private school has not yet. They have not gotten that. Even for the teachers,
yes,
in private schools, that is still, for us, we say, because they are still waiting and waiting. So, bureaucracy is not yet.
At the end of the day, the system from up to down, it's still broken, for lack of better words, in actually enforcing and ensuring that COVID-19 is managed. But nevertheless, it doesn't take away from the fact that there's personal responsibility. There's sole responsibility on this matter. I must safeguard myself. I must safeguard my family. I must safeguard my community. Because if I contract it, interact with you too, you're going to take it to Baga, you're going to take it to Machindi. And that means that you're going to have these cases spreading as easily as that. And so I urge Ugandans, now that there's a second wave and the numbers have tripled so terribly, take it upon, think about yourself, think that this is your life, because guess what, when you're in the oxygen mask, government, when you're in the hospital and the bills are in millions of money, government is not going to pay those bills. It's you who has to suffer through this. So why not,
if you're lucky to get there,
scarcity in medical supplies, scarcity in oxygen tanks, scarcity
in finances. The last thing you want to do in this kind of economy is to be spending on treatment of COVID-19. Go for vaccination, guys. This is free. Yesterday the doctors were telling us and Kirabo that the vaccination is free, But something also important, and we had, by the way, all leaders come out to give confidence. We saw the church leaders, the cultural leaders, all of them came out to give confidence to people. Why don't we embrace this?
Okay, and one other thing with this new variant that we want to urge the young people in this country, when you look at the first wave, it was more targeting people with comorbidities, people about 50, 60 and above. But to my shock, yesterday I was listening to Dr. Jane Ruth Achen and also the head of health services, Dr. Babaza. And one thing came out clear, that now most cases are between 20 to 39 years. So this issue of saying, for us, we are still...
What you're saying, Robert, is that they will not know because pretty much they don't have the pre-existing conditions as was the COVID-19. Because the moment it hits your body, your pre-existing condition will respond, react, and will cause you to actually go for a checkup. Then you find out you have COVID-19. But a strong Kirabo that like you're walking, you've interacted with everyone, and you get COVID-19. But
just yourself dropping.
You never know. I do have a story. Someone was telling me yesterday, his sister got COVID-19, but she didn't know. So she just felt headache for 3 days. I said, but this headache, it's peculiar kind of headache. So when she went for a checkup, the doctor said, do you mind if we do a COVID-19 test? And she said, oh yes, it's okay. Turns out she actually had COVID-19 and she's in self-isolation right now in her house.
And you know how dangerous that is? I saw it destroy a family, the Uganda family actually, where one of the brothers contracted COVID-19. He was asymptomatic, so he goes to visit the mother, and the mother contracted COVID-19, but also his elder brother. And it was last year when we buried the elder brother, we buried the mother this weekend, then the next 3 days we had to bury.
Yeah.
That is the Uganda family, some prominent.
For vacation from the USA, when it was really so rampant in the USA, comes to Uganda, but I think in between transit, he contracted that was keeping him, also contracted COVID-19. But because he was young, for him business was as usual. Muzee goes into a worse condition and then accident, and he passes away. And so a sensitive person had to say, but this boy was been with him, how safe is he? Only to check, and he had COVID-19. So that is the challenge with this second wave right now, is that as young people, we may not know, we may not have pre-existing conditions that will cause us to alarm. And that is why we actually need to be more vigilant with wearing your mask everywhere you go. Unless you are in a space where you are alone, please do wear your mask. Now sanitizers are available on the market in so sorts of shapes and sizes. It's a small bottle. Put it in your bag and carry it wherever you go. And ensure that if you're in a public, if you can and please must, do practice social distancing. It's for your own good, because the expense for COVID-19 right now, as Uganda, we can't afford it. In the USA, turns out they test them every single week.
But even despite that, it's the worst hit country in the world. So if United States of America is the worst hit country, according to statistics, then that is something. Everybody is a potential vector, because it is us that transport COVID-19. So everybody, view every person next to you that you might be having COVID and you might spread this disease to me. So what do? Protect yourself. Protect yourself, because they may look very, very normal, but actually when there are a vector and you getting in contact with them, all you get is COVID-19. But there's so much that's happening, and of course we also look at what is in the print media when we return.
Well, of course, still the story is about COVID, and guess what? Now the papers here come out to say that mad dash for jab as COVID hits schools. Now, of course, also in the Daily Monitor, we'll be looking at Kadaga could face disciplinary action from the NRM, and a couple of jobs there for you. But also, Scoop magazine there, swearing in served as some good drama. A photo of a gentleman with at least those pants, the two belted trousers.
Oh, the gentleman in the pitch suit with two belts.
I know, you know. And of course, Matters Day Church to invite only 200 people for June 3rd there, and no leaders meet today to pick leader of opposition. Now, of course, another lizard comes out to say one day they will claim the whole country. Businessmen lay claim to Old Taxi Park there. This park was being constructed by KCCA for an upgrade. Now, I don't know why up till today
this renovate the park, ensure it's well tarmacked, then they'll sort these people. They'll sort them in terms of paying them off. But it seems as time went by, progress was made in the park, but payments to people who owned particular plots in this park has not yet been done. That
Well,
is
of
why
course,
when they knew it was going to be opened on Saturday, at night they began putting shutters there to mark that these are part of our plots and we are not being cleared.
Anyway, much also is trending in the new vision there as well.
Yes, in the new vision, you have 29 schools that have been hit with COVID-19. That is on the front page. You also get to look at all sec regarding Kadaga. You also, I know, the stories. We can't wait for the outcome of this story. Museveni summoned sec over Kadaga Parliament. Suspected detainer shot dead, defiler shot dead, sorry. And then also in the new vision, AIDS fight boosted with 1.4 trillion. Now, AIDS fight is boosted with 1.4 trillion shillings, and COVID fight is boosted with how much?
That must be a grant.
Even if it's a grant, what is more important
depends on
right
the interest
now?
of the funder.
Anyway, yeah. For sports, you have FUFA elections or selections. Now, that is a conversation that
But this
I wish we can make space for Ruben to come and Shagazagaraga.
I think Ruben must help us break down this Magogorism in FUFA.
Because, you know, I wish
What
Ruben
made
can come
Mujib
here.
Kasule give up? I thought he was a potential.
Because he's been blocked up till
blocked.
today from
No, there's that, but there's that whole conversation also that had earlier come through when you had Magogo, of course, becoming member of parliament, and you're having another member of parliament who was disputing that why should he be sleep to finish, so I shall be right back. Good morning to Uganda.
Okay, sleep.
This is
Echa COVID-19 chijja kugwa. If we get vaccinated now, observe social distancing, wear masks properly, sanitize or wash our hands with soap and water regularly. Together we can defeat this enemy.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we learn, because it's those things that bring us close together.
An e-invoice is issued by VAT-registered taxpayers, while an e-receipt is issued by non-VAT registered taxpayers.
Uganda Revenue Authority, developing Uganda together. The Teacher Management Information System, TMIS, is one of the innovations the Ministry of Education and Sports has rolled out to have all teachers register online. This is in line with the spirit of the National Teacher Policy to professionalize the teaching profession and the Ministry's effort to collate teacher data in a single database for better teacher management. Join us as we host officials of the Ministry of Education and Sports to discuss the Teacher Management Information System. The show is sponsored by the United Nations Education, Scientific and Cultural Organization, UNESCO, under the Norwegian Teacher Initiative in collaboration with the Ministry of Education and Sports. Food is more than just a great meal. It's even better when it's prepared with art. The Big Kitchen. Brought to you by...
Because we've learned to savor the moments that were always there. And they never tasted this good.
Hello and welcome to the backstage of this generation, where the young and restless face the bold and beautiful.
It has been a very interesting journey.
First of all, people are noticing that comedy is a funny way of being serious.
You want to get a glimpse of Uganda's future through the eyes of the youth? You can with myself, Drago, on Ching. That's every Sunday evening on UBC Television.
Every marriage has 100% chances of succeeding.
today from Airtel. Buy or gift. Buy or give.
Get freaky too! Dial star 149 star 10 hash to load a Freaky Friday bundle for you to enjoy the best offers on voice and data.
To buy a bundle for friends and family, dial star 149 star 10 star 4 hash. Freaky Friday with Airtel. Buy or gift a bundle today. Dial star 149 star 10 hash to get started. Airtel, the smartphone network.
When you talk about our motherland Uganda, the Pearl of Africa, you cannot fail to smile because of the smile that fills the faces of the citizens. Our nice good weather and nature that sustains us all, that enables us all to continue each in their own way because we are all different even according to each individual's work. But what joins us to become one person is the sweetness from the flavored drink Alleluia Jingati drink and Alleluia Tamarind drink. The flavor that quenches your thirst while at the same time treating and healing your body because it is 100% natural. Enjoy the drink that has got the tamarind juice in it. Made by Alleluia Reflexology, Healthy Solutions and Nutritional Research Center Limited. Get yourself a bottle of Alleluia from all shops around.
What does it mean to be closer together? It's taking the last bus home for a surprise visit. Closer together is strangers finding a connection. It's bringing home something much more than a box. It's the warmth of home, or the beginning of something new. There's magic in sharing the things that we love, because it's those things that bring us close together.
This is Good Morning Uganda. This is Good Morning Uganda.
Good morning, Uganda. Traffic updates to you are coming from the pond. We have traffic in water. I am trying to find out how this fish is actually, as I said, please don't lose it. Yes, I've gotten a fish. Yep. In the waters, in the ponds. Molen. How are you?
Do you get to have this?
Do you want to hug the fish?
No, I don't. I want it ready.
Okay. No,
I like when it's swimming. But now it's shocked. In fact, we have shocked it.
Forever Resort is where we are this morning, and you can actually come here and do your personal fishing. After that, you can do your own cooking. My name is Priscilla Nalwoga. I am joined by Molen Kenyana, and we had quite a couple of questions for you, Madam Molen. Yes. Earlier on, we had a full white moon in the sky, and we equally also had the sun coming up on the opposite direction. How is that possible?
A very beautiful scenario. I like full moons, and it's very beautiful to see. Now, it's just also the sunsets and sunrise are the best things actually to see, because you see sunsets are kind of red, orange, because usually we see the blue skies. But Priscilla, I think you would tell us the reason why the sunsets and sunrise appear orange. You could think of a reason.
Why are you putting me in the hot spot?
Okay, let me take the hot spot and just use my mobile data. All right, so it just happens that in our skies we do have those tiny gas molecules that are composites of actually the atmosphere itself. So what happens is that within our light, we do have what we call the long wavelength band and the short wavelength band. So in the long wavelength band, that is where we have the red and blue color, because light, as we call it, the visible light, is full of colors. Now red, orange, to yellow are the long wavelength band. So what happens is that in the morning or even in the evening, they travel longer distances than the short wavelength band. So that is why they are scattered. The short wavelength, the blue ones, are scattered easily. So what we see at that time will appear red or orange, because it's only that color that is able to reach our eyes, because it is not scattered so much by the tiny gas molecules that I talked about that are always in the atmosphere.
Asking for Felix Nkunda.
Yeah.
Do these colors appear seasonally? Like, are there particular seasons where you'll have an orange moon and a red sun?
No. What happens is that the visible color is just, it has those colors. When you see the light, it will appear as if it's white, but it's like a plasma. When you see it through the plasma, it has those colors. So it's only that we have sunsets and sunrise appearing red and orange, like I said, because they're in the longer wavelength. But most of the day you will see it appear blue. Why does it appear blue? Now at the same time, you will see that the blue light is in the shorter wavelength. So that means it is scattered shortly, and it's easy to be portrayed on the sky, and we see it as a blue sky. The ones I like are sunsets and sunrise. Oh, yeah. And also you mentioned the full moon. 26th of May was the super moon day. That's sure. I would want to be buddies. You know, I would want to be friends with the moon. Okay, the sun. Okay, but both. Okay, so what we see is actually a scenario where, because on a normal day, you won't see the full moon appear in full circle. But as the sunlight comes up, it now lights up its appearance, and that's why you're able to see it in full circle. That's like how it appears. And only if it's on the opposite side of the sun. So it's like the sun is on the other side, then the moon is on the other side, and it is just drawing all the light, and then we're able to see it as a full circle. Otherwise we wouldn't. Or if it is on the same side as the sun, then we wouldn't. So it's only after like 30, because it's like a cycle, what we call, like in moon cycle, it moves every month. So this month it was 26th of May. We do have one coming up again, June 24th of June. So that maybe we might want to look out for it. Stay up all night, have like a girls' night and watch the moon come up.
So, that's and then Felix couldn't see the pink. He saw something else.
Yeah, so. he needs to learn colors. Should we go back to the basics and just, you know, look? Oh, I think it's just the gender. Maybe men are just colorblind.
Yeah, they are.
If we put the whole gender in that category.
In life, really.
Oh, okay.
For them, it is black and white.
Okay, I won't tell to Felix and Kirabo that we did that. But yeah, looking at how the clouds actually appear. You know, clouds carry water molecules. So what happens is that it depends on the density and also the water molecules within the cloud. So why they appear gray, especially in the morning, because that's when the light is coming up. So now you will find that the light is being blocked by the water molecules within the cloud. So as the light comes up, and it is, because now the water molecules, if it is dense and has much composition, then that means these water molecules are going to block the light. So what you see down, because for us we see the clouds from their bases, what you see down is that grayish, blackish color. It shows as if it's like a shadow. That is basically how it appears to be gray. So I don't know how the pink comes in. I've not seen a pink cloud.
Since you're a lady, you seem to have more knowledge of colors. What color is this water?
What color is this water for sure? I think it's just like kind of green. Shouldn't you know more about colors? I know about the cloud colors.
You're a sharper person. You're the most recently graduated member of Good Morning Uganda. So we expect that you're wiser and smarter than the rest of us.
But, I'm fresh out of campus.
You were telling me something about you know, fishing and ponds And you had some dialect that you were actually giving us about.
Yeah, because you see fish, these days we are talking about a lot of species that have even evolved, and some of them have been extinct.
Actually, which begs me to ask you, at the beginning, November, December, January, February, we had a lot of fish that were dying in the lake. Mysterious deaths for the fish. What was causing that?
And I think the report was saying there was fish poisoning. And also I want to relate, and my friend was reminding me yesterday, Judy, she said, whenever you talk about something nice, you always have to make us feel bad, like we are causing it. Find a way to make us not feel bad. But yes, I will still make people feel bad about the things they are doing.
Not that we're causing it, but it's our responsibility.
Exactly.
Because man has superiority over protection of the environment, right?
Yeah, exactly, which is what I want us to protect, and I'm happy that this place is really bringing home our ecosystem kind of context. Because when we talk about ecosystem, Priscilla, we're meaning just like how we interact, the living and non-living things. These are our friends, the fish.
Oh, this is population of fish, my friends. So you also have to put
overpopulation of fish.
Yeah. So
no, that is one person you'd want to be friends with, because now if they're having fish all the time, breakfast, lunch, dinner, then they get tired, and for you just come in once in a while, have that fish, and go about your day.
Well, that is the whole point of Forever Eco Resort. You can come here and you can do sport fishing right in your cabin over the pond. How easy is that? Breakfast is just right outside your door. You get fishing, and then you get into your cabin, cook yourself. You can fry it, you can just, season it with some salt in there and have yourself fish for breakfast in whatever form. And while you're having it, there's a balcony on your cabin that you can actually just go over your balcony, eat your fish, read your papers, and get in touch with your inner self. Such places allow you to get in touch with your inner self. One of the challenges that people had was depression, hypertension during the first wave of COVID-19.
The stress.
Yeah, the stress, So you can come here, wind down on Friday, Saturday, and then pack up your bags, leave for Sunday so that you can go back to reality on Monday.
So I like when you talk about that weekend relaxation. But imagine relaxing in a place like this where they are trying so much, not even trying, they just love preserving these fish. To the extent they have created these ponds around us. The entire place is just like every cabin you have is just close to that fish pond. And here you won't find issues of poisoning because they are taking care of these fish artificially, because these are artificial made ponds, and they are just putting all the right foods that the fish are supposed to have. And this is a nice thing, and if I look at a place that is trying to do this, I just give five star in rating, because this is what we're trying to advocate for.
So the other things that we can do here, me and you, I suggest we actually go and do them right now. We can go hiking. I'm seeing a very nice tree that is calling upon me to climb it.
Yeah, I think I also glassed, but I was like, okay, maybe after the fish.
I've also heard that they do bird watching here. So I want to go and see the bird species that they have here at Forever Eco Resort.
Did you know the last time we were, at a nature place, Felix was actually not good with birds.
Yeah.
Do we bring the surprise to him? Just maybe get some of the birds and just,
and take them to Felix.
Yeah.
He'll eat them for breakfast. No. Good Morning Uganda continues. We're going to be having the newsreel with Robert Kirabo, Rachel Takali, and they will be dissecting the stories of the day. But Molen, what's the forecast for today?
Yeah, today seems like we've started off with a really beautiful morning, mostly sunny and cloudy across much of the country. And I can tell you we do have Western Uganda starting to pick up across Kasese and also parts of the Rwenzori Migori Mountains. That's where we're seeing mostly the developing clouds that are likely to bring us rains over there, and we'll have more in the afternoon still across western Uganda, midwestern. We're talking about Hoima, Masindi, Ntoroko. Do expect that cloud to develop, and with possibilities of rainy conditions later in the afternoon. We do also have some light rains that are forecast across the Lake Victoria, cloudy conditions starting to develop, and those are likely to be bringing us some rains across parts of Masaka, Rakai, that area. Rains to also develop across northern Uganda and also parts of the Kyoga region. But also, when you look at much of the temperatures we're having these days, that's actually kind of like normal for this time of the year. But at the same time, we do have a seasonal forecast release. I will be taking you through that as we go on next week. But we will be looking at each place, each part of the country, and the seasonal forecast for that area and what you can do. Give you particular advisories. As Priscilla, do not lose my fish has gone back. Oh my God, I was looking in Uganda, and have yourselves a beautiful morning. I have to go help Priscilla. I have to go help.
No, I have to. No,
oh my God, our fish.
I have to do this manually. No, bye. We'll
guys, bye guys. We need to have.
is a very interesting Friday this time around because we're enjoying nature at its best. Priscilla and Molen were fishing, but of course that was also another experience only if you come at Forever Eco Resort. This is along Entebbe Road right in Kajansi, and you'll be enjoying yourself. It is where we are today, and I'm inside the cottage, so in case you're wondering where now this location, I'm with my colleague Rachel Takali. I love referring to her as the African woman because most of the time she has that attire that depicts of who we are, that is African woman. A lovely morning to you.
Morning.
How have you been?
But by and large, the people countrywide had abandoned SOPs. It will take quite some doing for people when it comes to control measures and so on and so forth. I don't know exactly how this will be managed effectively, but here we are. And then the high point, moving beyond the parliamentary stuff. We are glad it's out of the way, finally.
So we are expecting maybe the largest party, that is the National Unity Platform, in the 11th Parliament will have come up by closure of business. Maybe they'll have come up with a leader of opposition, and of course then we shall see committees and all that very much formed. But that takes us to our first story that dominated headlines this week, which was on the 24th, when we saw members of Parliament meet at Kororo to elect the Speaker and the Deputy Speaker. It was an interesting race, although finally we saw the Deputy Speaker by then, that is Jacob Olanya, take the day and becoming the Speaker of the 11th Parliament, winning with, actually, that is 110 votes. We saw Rebecca Kadaga, his former boss, win with 197. Then FDC, Semujunganda, coming with, that is a 15 number of votes, 15, where some people have said those are the only members of opposition we have in Parliament because they are those that chose to vote for opposition candidate in their opinion. However, the National Unity Platform was very clear. They said, for us, we are going to stand behind Rebecca Kadaga. Yes, this whole election process.
And I think that explains why Mr. Wine, or Mr. Chagulanyi, has been trying to contact some of the presidents in other opposition parties to try, I think, and start on a way forward concerning opposition politics over the next. Scattered approach to what they say is their goal will be a long, long way from where we are. Other than that, I think that whole race panned out the way we expected it would. And there were no surprises.
Did you expect Honorable Rebecca Kadaga, even after SEC, that's the Central Executive Committee of the ruling party NRM, had come out with Jacob Olanya as their candidate for that position and shouldn't have been nominated, which has been the order of doing things? Because for speakership, at least we've known, it's always been SEC selection respected by everybody. Did you foresee this coming?
I think it was predictable because Madame Kadaga, for some time now, has been led by emotion. She ceased to strategize meaningfully. She began to really be led by what she feels. She feels disrespected. She feels like she should be punching way above the weight that is being accorded her. And she felt that this was a do-or-die affair. And it was something from which she was not going to retreat. Whether it is good for the party, whether it is good for the region, whether it is good for the country. I think it became about self in the end. And so it was predictable in that the people on the one side, her party, the executive, showed us all along Madame Namganza into the fray when it came to the SEC contest.
Not ring-fencing that position.
True. And then maybe NRM was no longer totally in her view of how things should be. But for some reason, she kept saying this was the case. But she dared them to.
As we wind up this issue of the speaker, let's look at.
Well, I don't think it's a very promising start, because it's important in politics, in any dispensation or any country, to have people who can actually be counted upon to have their own positions. Of course, party position has its own place, but I don't know that going forward we will see that we have people who are independent-minded even under a party flag, because there are times when men and women have to actually maybe not stay the course as the party mandates. I don't know that we have people with that strength. If this, I really don't know.
Well, so much happened that day. We saw many a times people coming up on the floor, members of parliament, for point of order, point of possession, point of this, point of that. And His Excellency said, well, sitting for this time, for such a long time, is something that you should find. Ensure that it's something that you can fight. But anyway, at the end of the day, we have a speaker, we have the deputy speaker of the 11th parliament, and the president made statements there at while speaking or addressing the members of parliament, when he said we must promote unity. Jacob Bolanya urged them to ensure they put nation above self-interest and party activity. Let's go to now the second wave that we've been told, that it's been confirmed. The second wave is with us. The variant is more lethal, spreads very fast. It's now even going for people from 20 to 39. Previously, the first wave were very sure, comorbidities, the elderly, but when we see a 17-year-old in ICU at Mulago, that speaks volumes.
I think this particular phase is a very interesting one. First of all, they're dealing with multiple strains. There's the UK strain, there's the South African strain, there's the India strain, and our own local strain. So it's not, we're not where we were. And I think it's also spreading much faster than during the first infection period. Not only that, it's true that there's been noted quite a bit of activity among significantly younger groups. At this time, 20 to 39 are the most, is where the most important progress in infection rates is happening. But people as young as 10 have been noted to contract the virus. Not so much the elderly, as was the case in the past. Vaccines has been miserable, especially in the north and the east, where they say social media circus and negative publicity have contributed significantly to people staying away. And so, actually beginning today, the Ministry of Health has proposed to withdraw vaccines from underperforming districts to deploy them in areas such as Kampala, where there's been a very important rise.
Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono.
Yes. So the attitude of the people is not helping matters, whether it comes to SOPs or vaccinations. And more interestingly, even essential workers are not behaving well. The health workers.
I saw the comments from the head of the district health officer, that is Elegu, who said they have 502 health workers, but unfortunately only 200 something have taken. And I'm wondering, these are health workers, frontline workers, but they're not adhering to something that is very vital to save them in terms of...
But also, as in the very beginning, we had about, at the high period of infections during the first phase, they were taking in about 200 people, new cases a day. But we are up to 1,000. That's a very high rise in infections. But also, given the facilities that we have and the medical personnel on hand, if things should continue as they are, we are headed for full-blown crisis.
Finally, Rachel, we know life, it is upon you to ensure that your life is safe, because at the end of the day, it's you who will die. But also know that government has a mandate to protect people and their property. That is why even have coercive forces, that even when you do not care about your life, they can still care about your life. How best can we move from this situation? Ugandans seem very complacent when it comes to standard operating procedures. Some had a picture they felt, maybe they would see dead bodies and it happened that much. So some are like, no, we're just from elections, maybe this is that and that. So how best should we move? The enforcement seem a bit relaxed. The persons, the people who suffer COVID-19 also seem a bit relaxed.
I think it's going to be a difficult way forward, any way you see it. The government has been thinking of a shutdown. A shutdown for a long period of time, I don't think is very feasible in our circumstances.
Yet we still have other sectors.
Saija has been complaining that his coffers are rather dry. So he really needs taxes to flow in more rapidly than they already are. This economy has not recovered. So if you should impose another shutdown, there will be really dire consequences for economic growth in the short, medium, or even long term.
Rachel, we've had already 803 cases confirmed in education institutions of COVID-19. And we remember this was one of the first sectors that His Excellency shut down, or we saw a lockdown take effect to save numbers. So how do we balance the two? People are very complacent, enforcement is weak, yet reality is that COVID-19